Welcome to On Point Pro Wrestling with your host John Mattera, where I usually bring you the Monday Night Raw and SmackDown reviews to tell you what to watch and tell you some of the segments you can skip if you're a little bit short on time. But today we're doing something a little bit different because all you On Point people and all you wrestling fans know that this Sunday is probably the second or third biggest pay-per-view of the WWE calendar, SummerSlam. It's the biggest party of the summer where we see a lot of the storylines from the beginning of the year come to an end, and some of the storylines that are going to play out for the rest of the year begin. And as always, this podcast is associated with Sports Skillet Radio, which can be heard from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday on 9:20 a.m. Here, Jay, Jeff, and Kelly give you all their hot takes on the hot topics in sports. And to get right into the card of SummerSlam, we're actually not going to cover the pre-show because, in my opinion, if you miss the pre-show, you're not missing anything important in the WWE product or in the WWE universe, as the company likes to say. And the first match on my list is going to be United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura facing off against the Enigma Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship belt. I think this match is actually just a lock for Shinsuke Nakamura. I think he's just going to dismantle Jeff Hardy, and then right after he's done taking care of him, Randy Orton's going to come down, making his SummerSlam appearance at the Barclays Center, and just deliver a beatdown to Jeff Hardy. Just pretty much like he said earlier in the week. He's going to make you want to turn the channel off with how violent he's going to get. I think it's going to be a very violent beatdown. He's probably going to be pulling on the holes from Jeff Hardy's gauges once again, giving him DDTs on the floor, maybe an RKO through the table. I'm pretty excited, not really to see this match because I think it's a toss-up and not too hard to predict who's going to win, but honestly for the Randy Orton beatdown after the match. And then hopefully Randy Orton can go on and feud with Shinsuke Nakamura after his feud with Jeff Hardy is over for that United States Championship, because it's a legend from the Japanese area of pro wrestling coming over to America and making a name for himself, facing off against the legend killer, one of the staples of the WWE in Randy Orton, who's just trying to become not relevant again, but really relight the fire under him, making him that more dastardly heel, somebody who will do anything to win no matter what he has to put his opponent through. I think that would be a great program. But for this match and the matches going forward that I'm going to go over, I'm going to give the On Point people my on point percentage of what percentage I think that the winner is going to win, and my percentage for this is going to be 100% Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think there is any way or any kind of swerve that Jeff Hardy is going to get this belt back. And honestly, if Jeff Hardy beats Shinsuke Nakamura clean after his lackluster feud with AJ Styles earlier in the year, I don't think Shinsuke Nakamura will really be able to bounce back from that. It'll pretty much just squash his momentum, since realistically he hasn't been able to get any clean wins on anybody besides R-Truth the other week on SmackDown. So I'm really hoping Shinsuke Nakamura gets the win here. I think 100% Shinsuke Nakamura will get the win, and I'm looking forward to seeing the match, but more of the post-match beatdown from Randy Orton, as I said before. And on to the next match, we have the triple threat for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which sees the champion Carmella facing off against the returning Charlotte Flair, facing off against Becky Lynch. Now, over the past couple of weeks, we've seen Carmella try to drive a wedge between Becky Lynch and Charlotte on commentary, saying, wow, they're not trying to help each other out, they're not friends. Charlotte's just trying to steal Becky's spotlight, trying to build up kind of a Sasha and Bayley feud, and it's kind of shown in little backstage segments on SmackDown that Becky, you know, kind of can be getting a little sick of Charlotte always having the spotlight and the shine on her, when this was supposed to be her one-on-one matchup against Carmella to finally regain that coveted WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. But now she has another obstacle in the road, and that's her best friend Charlotte Flair, and she can possibly see how that can be Charlotte trying to steal her spotlight. But we're going to see what's going to happen at SummerSlam. And to be honest, my on point percentage for this match is I am about 50% Carmella coming out of this match with the championship belt intact. And I know that may shock some of you because Charlotte and Becky Lynch, you can't even imagine both of them losing to Carmella at the same time in the same match. But Carmella's proven pay-per-view after pay-per-view that she's been able to pull out these wins in dastardly ways. And with this side story built up, with Becky Lynch being jealous of Charlotte always having the spotlight and trying to take hers, who knows what's gonna happen? Who knows what friendships can explode in this match? But I am 50% on Carmella coming away with this women's championship. And to be quite honest with you, I'm pretty excited for this match. I think it's been built up really well with the whole Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch friendship, possible implosion at SummerSlam, and Carmella just being a great heel on the mic, just full of herself, calling herself the Staten Island princess. So everybody making her way to Brooklyn is going to be her people. Staten Island's going to come and rep her, when realistically I think when she comes out she's going to get booed out of the building, because quite honestly she's a great heel. I think she's a great bad guy or a bad woman for this women's division on SmackDown that they've been building up. And honestly, I'm going to be happy to see Carmella come out of SummerSlam with that championship belt intact. Moving on to the next match, which has the possibility to be the match of the night. It's the match that is about 2-3 years in the making, but realistically it's kind of been since Daniel Bryan entered the WWE in that launch of NXT all the way back in 2010, where The Miz was Daniel Bryan's pro, which is just unfathomable at this point when you know how great Daniel Bryan is and always has been in the ring, that The Miz was his pro and Daniel Bryan was his rookie when NXT wasn't the developmental monster it is now. It was really kind of a reality TV show that showcased not even really the wrestling ability of the superstars, but their ability to entertain the crowd with some good matches here and there on the shows. And to be honest with you, when I watched the first episode of NXT all the way back then, the main event was Chris Jericho facing off against Daniel Bryan, who was fresh off of the independent scene as the American Dragon. Bryan Danielson wrestling all over the world, in Japan, in ROH, in PWG, all over America, all across the globe, just making a name for himself. And he was going up against a Hall of Famer in Chris Jericho, the World Heavyweight Championship at the time, and Daniel Bryan put on one hell of a performance. And you can throw this storyline all the way back to that match where The Miz was looking back, looking at the television, knowing that, wow, this so-called rookie might actually be better than me. And when you think about that, this can be the motivation for The Miz and why he's always been so angry at Daniel Bryan deep down inside. And it's really come out over the past 2 years, ever since that one episode of Talking Smack after SmackDown where The Miz just went on a tirade on Daniel Bryan, saying, you wish you can be me, you wish you can wrestle again, you can't even wrestle because you're on the sidelines injured. And this was during the time that Daniel Bryan was not able to wrestle due to his concussions, and the WWE was not allowing him to get into the ring. And now that he's allowed to get into the ring, this is years and years and years of frustration for Daniel Bryan, trying to take this out on The Miz and take him out once and for all. And unfortunately, I am about a 75% on point percentage that The Miz unfortunately will go home with this victory. I think if we want this feud to continue, The Miz has to get the upper hand on Daniel Bryan, and whether it be clean 1-2-3 with no dastardly heel tactics, or if he uses heel tactics and grabs the tights, grabs the ropes, hits him with a low blow when the ref's not looking, whatever that they can come up with, I'm sure it would be pretty creative. I think The Miz has to come out with this because the next pay-per-view is actually Hell in a Cell, and I would love to see these two go at it where The Miz can't run, The Miz cannot hide, and cannot get away from a Daniel Bryan whose rage is just so incredible and he just wants to punch The Miz in the face, as he's been saying on SmackDown over the past couple of weeks. I think with the build-up and the storyline behind this match, this easily is going to be able to steal the SummerSlam Sunday, the biggest party of the summer, and send the fans home knowing, oof, wow, I can't wait to see Daniel Bryan finally get his revenge even more than I did before I came to the Barclays Center and saw SummerSlam. But I think this is going to be a fantastic match. The Miz, great promo work, and he's improved in the ring over and over again. He showed it to everybody over the past couple of years, and Daniel Bryan is one of the best in-ring professionals in the world, and it's going to be a great match, one that's going to be remembered in SummerSlam history. And I'm pretty excited for this match if you can't already tell. And the next match I'm honestly also pretty excited for, because this is going to see Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler face off against Seth Rollins. Now you're going to say, oh my god, we've seen this so many times. Dolph Ziggler Ziggler and Seth Rollins already had an Iron Man match. What more is there for them to do? I mean, this is just a plain old singles match. But you also have to keep in mind that although Drew McIntyre is going to be in Dolph Ziggler's corner as always, on Monday Night Raw, Dean Ambrose made his return. The lunatic fringe with a new haircut and probably about what looked 30 pounds of just straight muscle on him, looking like a beast, a tank, coming back from his arm injury, and he's going to be in Seth Rollins' corner. Now, I was talking to a couple of friends. I have a couple of people I know, and in my opinion, and in their opinion, they think that Dean Ambrose is going to turn heel on Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, costing him the Intercontinental Championship. Now, you might say there's really been no signs of this Dean Ambrose heel turn. You know, before Dean Ambrose got hurt at TLC all the way back in December, there's been no seeds planted, no promos, no nothing. Dean Ambrose was buddy-buddy with Seth Rollins right before he got injured. And although you say there was no motivation, but what did Seth Rollins do as soon as Dean Ambrose got injured? He picked his bags up and got another tag team partner, replacing Dean Ambrose with a rookie in Dean Ambrose's eyes, with somebody such as Jason Jordan, winning the tag team championships with somebody like Jason Jordan when Seth Rollins carried that team on his back. Now, Dean Ambrose could look at that as disrespectful, how you're just going to move on right away, maybe pursue a singles route like you are now, not immediately go and replace me as your tag team partner. I could see somebody being angry at that. I could see Dean taking that in his lunatic mind and twisting it and taking that aggression out on Seth Rollins at SummerSlam and finally turning heel, something I think his character has needed maybe for about 2 years. And now this revitalized Dean Ambrose with this new look, it can be new. It could be a brand new Dean Ambrose who's just dastardly and scary and just completely insane. And for this heel turn to really go over at SummerSlam to shock the fans, I think we're going to need to see some blood, which WWE doesn't usually pull out. The last time they pulled it out was at WrestleMania with that hard elbow from Brock Lesnar to Roman Reigns' head. But, you know, these two have history. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins have years and years in history coming into the Shield together, and Seth Rollins betrayed him and Roman Reigns to align himself with the Authority and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon running roughshod across the WWE for about a year and a half, holding Dean Ambrose down, holding Roman Reigns down, and Dean Ambrose can always have that in the back of his head and use that for motivation also to take that out on Seth Rollins and finally stab him in the back after all these years and all these years of built-up aggression when Dean Ambrose was trying to put all this behind him, but he just could not, and he finally just snapped on his best friend, the architect of the Shield, Seth Rollins. I think this Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins match is going to be awesome. I mean, these two together in the ring always prove that they're two of the best. But what I'm really looking forward to is this aftermath of the match. If Dean Ambrose is going to turn heel, if he's not going to turn heel, and if it doesn't go fully through at SummerSlam, I think you can definitely expect it in the coming weeks. Maybe on the next night on Raw, maybe at Hell in a Cell. But if you're the WWE, I definitely think that you need to do this with Dean Ambrose. 100%, and my on-point percentage for this match is going to be Dolph Ziggler. 100% he's going to hang on to that Intercontinental Championship belt. And now we have Braun Strowman facing off against Kevin Owens, where if Braun Strowman gets pinned, submitted, which obviously will not happen, counted out or disqualified, he will lose his Money in the Bank briefcase to Kevin Owens. And in my opinion, my on-point percentage for this, I think I'm going to have to go 25% Kevin Owens, where he's going to put out a surprise victory. I'm hoping this may be just fantasy booking here. Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era, fresh off maybe losing the North American title and losing the tag team championships, come up and attack maybe Kevin Owens, where everybody thinks, why are they doing that? But really, they just got Braun Strowman disqualified so Kevin Owens could gain the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think that would be pretty great booking, in my opinion, and a great way to forward this storyline, because it doesn't look Braun look weak at all. It just shows that Kevin Owens outsmarted the monster, and it just will make Kevin Owens just get booed by the crowd, because when he comes out, he usually gets cheered because he's so entertaining. But getting such a coveted prize in the WWE in just such a BS, just such a way that you just look like such a jerk, would just get the crowd to boo him. Because honestly, he stole that. He didn't really earn that Money in the Bank briefcase. I think it would be a great way to further the storyline between Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman, in my opinion, does not really need the Money in the Bank briefcase in order to win win the Universal Championship. I really don't think he needs it. I mean, he's kind of the guy who will just go in, challenge you, earn his way to the number one contender spot, and actually just destroy his way, as a matter of fact, to the number one contender spot and beat the champion clean. 1, 2, 3. He's not the kind of guy, I feel, to run in and just give somebody a power slam after a really hard match and then win the Universal Championship. I think that's kind of a cheap way for Braun Strowman, who can be either the number one or the number two face of the company, to win his first Universal Championship. I think he needs to win it just in a clean one-on-one match, but somebody like Kevin Owens, who's undersized compared to the guys on Raw, such as Brock Lesnar, such as Roman Reigns, such as Braun Strowman himself, can get his hands on that Universal Championship using dastardly tactics, because he's been a heel since he's been on the WWE main roster and in the WWE, as a matter of fact, and it would just be a great storyline progression, great character progression for Kevin Owens, and it would get new faces, as a matter of fact, in the Undisputed Era in a main storyline on Monday Night Raw. And I think that's three positives the WWE can do in one segment, in one shot at SummerSlam, and really start getting the fans excited for this WrestleMania season build-up, which is really far away, but sometimes this is where the storylines really get planted for the further WrestleMania storylines going into the road to WrestleMania, of course. And honestly, I think it'd be great for the WWE to do all that, but honestly, Kevin Owens, 25% he's gonna win by dastardly tactics. And then we have the Bludgeon Brothers facing off against the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Now, the New Day won a SmackDown Tag Team tournament over the past couple of weeks on SmackDown to earn this shot, and in my opinion, I'm going 50% on point percentage. New Day is going to get the belt back, which honestly, in my opinion, is quite disappointing, because I want to see the New Day not break up, but go pursue some singles belts. Big E can go for the WWE Championship. I'd like to see Xavier Woods give some personality and eyes to the 205 Live roster, because it gets filmed right after SmackDown. You can still have Xavier Woods in a primetime spot on SmackDown, maybe in Big E's corner, in Kofi's corner, where he goes for the mid-card belt on SmackDown. But I'm a 50% chance that the New Day is going to win this match, because to be honest with you, the Bludgeon Brothers really aren't going anywhere. They still come out to just no reaction, and if this really isn't a great match and the Bludgeon Brothers don't really have a good showing against the New Day and they retain the belt, I think that it's just going to continue to fall flat with them as champions. So I think they're going to hotten up the SmackDown Tag Team division a little bit with putting the belts back on the New Day. I'm 50% on point percentage for that to happen at SummerSlam. And then up next, it is Finn Balor facing off against Constable Baron Corbin. And this, when you really think about it, it's kind of sad that Finn Balor is in this match at SummerSlam when 2 years ago he became the first ever Universal Champion. And now you fast forward 2 years to now, and he's facing somebody in Constable Corbin who comes out in a waiter outfit, what it really looks like, and wrestles in it, and really doesn't have a lot of credibility, even though he looks like a monster, has awesome finishers, has been improving in the ring. I just cannot get past that outfit, because he just looks like a waiter in there. He looks like he's going to be serving me food at Outback Steakhouse or something. He doesn't seem threatening when he's got that outfit on. When he used to have his old attire, it was pretty threatening. He had all these tattoos. He looked like he could really dominate you. The only thing that was holding him back was his mullet haircut, which is gone now. I like his hair. I like how he's shaved his head bald, because now he's the constable for Stephanie McMahon. Has to look a little bit more professional. But Finn Balor is facing that guy, and he was the Universal Champion and then had to relinquish the belt the next night on Raw because of an injury that happened during that match. And still, 2 years later, he has not gotten his rematch for that Universal Championship, and it's just sad. But I'm 100% on point percentage that Finn Balor is going to come up with the victory on this one. He's going to hit the coup de grace on Baron Corbin, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. If WWE pulls out a Baron Corbin clean win for this, I don't know where they can possibly go with Finn Balor and building him up from there, unless at the next pay-per-view he has to channel the Demon to come and beat Constable Corbin, which then again would just cheapen the Demon, because really you have to be the Demon to beat Constable Corbin when 2 years ago you weren't the Demon and you beat Roman Reigns clean 1, 2, 3 on your first night on Monday Night Raw. It just would kind of cheapen the Demon, and I think that Finn Balor should get past Constable Baron Corbin on that night's pay-per-view. And then we have the match for the Raw Women's Championship, which sees Alexa Bliss defend her belt against Rowdy Ronda Rousey, who's getting her second shot at the Raw Women's Championship after serving a very long suspension because of her attacks on Kurt Angle and Alexa Bliss after the night of the pay-per-view where Alexa Bliss cashed in on Nia Jax in the middle of Ronda Rousey's championship match. And I really think it's 100% on point percentage that Ronda Rousey is going to be walking away with the Women's Championship on SummerSlam, because quite honestly, we've seen Alexa Bliss be champion and be on top year in and year out for the past 2 years, which isn't a bad thing. I think Alexa Bliss has really held her own on the mic, has improved in the ring, and she's just a great heel, somebody who's already established her name to be talked about for a Hall of Fame spot when she retires, in my opinion. I mean, she's a 5-time women's champion in 2 years. I mean, that's a great feat to accomplish for somebody who's just so small in stature but just carries so much charisma and so much personality. I really think it's time to take the belt off her because she can hold her own without that championship. And if Ronda Rousey loses to Alexa Bliss, even if it's clean, it's like, realistically, she's the baddest woman on the planet. I would have this match be no longer than 2.5 minutes and just have Ronda Rousey squash Alexa Bliss, put her in the armbar, get the tap out victory, with Ronda Rousey finally being crowned the women's champion. I think that would be a great way to make the fans feel really good, because Ronda Rousey's come from a lot of adversity in her UFC fights, and she was so down after her few losses against Holly Holmes, against Amanda Nunes, and now she's coming seeming like she's got like a second chance at life, second chance at a career, doing something that she loves. And I think it would be a great crowning moment for Ronda Rousey, who's impressed me with every match that she's had, and she's been catching on to the pro wrestling very quick. You can tell, even though her matches are pre-worked out before the shows, weeks at the NXT Development Center, still she's showing a lot of fire, a lot of personality, getting better on the mic, and she's been great in the ring. She nearly stole the show at WrestleMania, so I think it is time to get that belt on Ronda Rousey. And the next match, which quite honestly, it might be the match that I'm looking forward to the most, because as a kid getting back into professional wrestling, I stumbled onto a company called TNA, Total Nonstop Action, and I saw AJ Styles face off against Samoa Joe for the X Division Championship belt. And these two would just kill it all the time, as I talked about on my SmackDown review last week. They would have match of the night after match of the night after match of the night. These two just make magic in the ring, and now they finally get the main stage for the WWE Championship at one of the biggest parties of the summer, the biggest pay-per-view of the summer, SummerSlam. I cannot wait for this match, and I think even though The Miz and Daniel Bryan really do have a shot to steal the show, if all goes according to plan, if this doesn't turn into an AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura WrestleMania type match, this will steal the show and be a contender for the match of the year. You have two vets going at it on the main stage, two friends in real life, even though in storyline Samoa Joe just ruined that friendship, mentioning AJ Styles' wife, reading him a letter on SmackDown, pretty much complaining to AJ Styles, saying how bad of a father he is, a letter from his wife that Samoa Joe must have penned himself, or so it seems. But I think that this match will be fantastic. Match of the night, and this may be just wishful thinking, but I want Samoa Joe. I'm 25% on point percentage Samoa Joe will walk away with that WWE Championship belt, because I think AJ Styles on the chase for a little bit would be something refreshing. He's on the cover of the new WWE 2K game, yes, but he can really get that belt back. Just give this belt to Samoa Joe. He can get the belt back right before the launch date if it's really that important for the WWE Championship to be on the person who's on the cover of the video game. I personally think it's a great booking decision to put this WWE title on Samoa Joe, because he's only getting older and he really needs his WWE Championship because he just is a monster. It needs to be on a heel on SmackDown for faces to go give chase. There's not too many heels on SmackDown that are really threatening besides Samoa Joe and Randy Orton. Shinsuke Nakamura, with that whole AJ Styles feud, really hasn't established himself as a monstrous heel. He's somebody I look at now, which is unfortunate, as somebody who just makes silly faces. But Samoa Joe as a heel on top, being a monster, taking every challenger that comes for his WWE Championship out, would be something that I really want to see on my WWE television. I want to spend my Tuesday night watching Samoa Joe take out people left and right, because he's just quite frankly always entertaining. 25% on point percentage that Samoa Joe will walk away with the WWE Championship belt at SummerSlam. And now we have the main event, which sees once again Brock Lesnar defending his Universal Championship against Roman Reigns. My on-point percentage for this is 100. Roman Reigns is walking out with his Universal Championship. And we're going to have a little extra on-point percentage here. My on-point percentage for Kevin Owens to come out and cash in this Money in the Bank and take this moment away from Roman Reigns is a solid 10%. I'm on point percentage 10% on Kevin Owens walking out of SummerSlam with the WWE Universal Championship, finally getting it back after losing it to Goldberg at Fastlane a year and a half ago before WrestleMania. I think that would be an awesome way to end SummerSlam, something surprising for the fans with just a night of just full of surprises, heel turns, championship changes, and just really making the fans want to watch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown going forward. As for the match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, I think it's going to be pretty good. They entertained me at WrestleMania. The crowd really kind of ruined that match, just completely writing it off as the main event of WrestleMania, just not accepting it instead of just sitting down and trying to enjoy the work that those two were putting on. They were throwing beach balls around, coming up with their own chants, but that's a rant for another time about that crowd at WrestleMania. But I think that this is going to be a good match. I think that they should get off started straight away, do the blood spot with Roman Reigns again, but this time have him finally hit that spear instead of it being reversed into an F5 and put away the Beast 1, 2, 3 and send him back into the UFC where he's going to fight Daniel Cormier. Now, that was my predictions and my on-point percentages of everything that was going to be happening at SummerSlam. That was something new we tried, and hopefully you guys and all you on-point people like the on-point percentages for the pay-per-view preview shows. And of course, as always, this podcast is associated with Sports Skillet Radio. Make sure you turn that dial to 9:20 a.m. from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday to hear Jay, Jeff, and Kelly give their hot takes on all the hot topics in sports. And that'll be it for this edition of On Point Pro Wrestling, and I'll see you guys next week.